What's up, comic and pop culture fans? This is James with Mint Hunter Comics, and we sent 100 books off to CGC, and it looks like they're back. The grand count of everything that got the 9.8 was 51 out of 100. It's not terrible, but it's certainly lower than I was expecting. After all, I did adjust the way that I send books to be graded. Going forward, I don't send in a book unless it is spotless. CGC is stricter on grading, so I've tightened my own restrictions. So I was surprised to see only half of them get it, especially since a month ago, my last submission was a perfect 25 out of 25. Before we do the grand reveal of the books that got it, I have to tell you an interesting story with this submission, which is I sent 100 books. And when you send 100 books to CGC, they split it up into sections of 25. So there were 4 separate submissions of 25, all totaling the 100. Well, the first 2 batches of 25 got separated from the other and got graded early in the day. They went through the system, and I saw that like 40 out of the 50 all got the 9.8. I was making calls to my friends. I was like, dude, we're already at 80% or better. This is looking great. Let's keep it going. Late in the evening, the final 2 boxes of 25 went through, and I looked online and was shocked to see that almost none of them got the grade. What's interesting is these were all from the same collection. The first 2 boxes of 25, the first 50 books, went in super quick, and even the ones that didn't get the 9.8 had really helpful graders notes so I can know if I need to repress or do anything. Whereas the second batch, it was just reject, 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 and there were no graders notes. The conspiracy theorist in my mind isn't too happy about that. I simply don't understand how you can justify the same collection, one getting all the grades, have the books get separated 12-hour delay from the first one getting graded and the second one getting graded, and then have almost none of them get it. Since I know some of you are going to ask, maybe they separated the books and the books got dropped. I did look at the second batch, and they appear to be perfect. They still look like the perfect books that I sent them in. So the second half didn't get lost and maybe damaged for like half a day. I do not know why and will not ever know why the second half of the submission didn't get graded, but the first half did. It's just one of those mysteries, I guess. Let's get into it. We're doing it alphabetical today. Make sure you're liking and commenting down below. Don't forget to join up. We got Batman 21 from 2013. It's the first appearance of Duke Thomas, who eventually becomes the Signal. I'm glad that got the 9.8 because I looked up the value later and I saw that that book is all the way down to only a $60 book, which is actually quite low. But it is for sale. If you're interested, message me on my Instagram. Batman 522. I did sneak a couple of the multi-pack DC Universe logo editions in there. One of my favorite Batman comics from the Kelly Jones era. That's Swamp Thing protecting Killer Croc against Batman. Awesome story. That is going to be for sale. That is one of the most coveted ones with the DC Universe logo for a Batman book. So that one's actually getting a $250 price tag on that boy. Next up is from the Scotty Young variants. Captain Marvel #1, 2014. I had a bunch of the Scotty Youngs, and the collection that I picked up was a Scotty Young collection. I ended up submitting probably a third of it, and they almost all got the 9.8 because they were in the first half of the submission. So we probably got like 10 Scotty Young variants in here. Some of these are one of the ones that are pretty valuable, though. First appearance of B. Interestingly, there are no notes on the CGC keynotes there, which is a trend you will see in the upcoming books. Next up is what is considered a classic, one of the most desirable Scotty Young variants in the entire batch. It's the 2014 Daredevil. They've actually made little statue recreations of that and everything. 2014, that one's got a $130 price tag on it. Very nice. We've got Detective Comics 599, which is the first appearance of Henry Ducard, who's the detective who mentored Bruce Wayne. And I was flabbergasted to see that CGC has no mention of that. Henry Ducard, major, huge point of the Batman mythos, and CGC just has it blank. I was pretty shocked to see that. I didn't even ask them to update the notes because I just assumed it would say it, but it doesn't. $80, and I actually was able to get two of them. 9.8 white pages. What's that? 1989. 1989, Detective Comics, first appearance of Henry Ducard. Next up is Detective Comics 687, which is one of the books I had from the Toys R Us packs as a kid, and that is the multi-pack edition. It even does say it up here. It's the DC Universe logo variant, as you can tell. I loved that story. This is where Batman gets trapped on a buoy and he has to fight off sharks. Love that one. Scared me as a kid. That one's got a $100 price tag on it. Now we got Edge of Spider-Gwen #1, which is actually the first appearance of Kang the Conglomerator. Kind of a smaller first appearance, so it's no surprise that it didn't make its way onto the CGC notes. This is actually the variant cover, and that's got a $70 price tag on there. Message me if you're interested. Is Edge of Spider-Verse #3. Follows Edge of Spider-Verse #2, which, by the way, I don't know if it made the cut. I decided to give my Edge of Spider-Verse 2 an extra pressing. I think it can get the 9.8, but I want to make damn sure that it's going to get it. So I got a $150 price tag on it, which I'm glad I submitted because that's a little higher than I thought. What's interesting is the first Penny Parker Edge of Spider-Verse 5, 2015 book, went down in value so much that despite this one not being a key and this one being a key, this one is actually slightly less value. It's $140, whereas the non-key is $150. I don't make the prices, but I was a little surprised to see the first Penny Parker perform worse than Edge of Spider-Verse 3. Next up is, continuing another Scotty Young, we've got Elektra #1 from 2014. Excuse me. That's got a $75 price tag on it. A lot of the Scotty Youngs, the early 2000s ones, have a lot of the value, it seems. Next up is Exiles 3. Very nice, which is the first Peggy Carter becoming Captain America. Not Peggy Carter becoming Captain Carter. That's a whole different thing. But Peggy Carter is Captain America. It is an homage cover. The only thing that's interesting is CGC makes no notes that it's Peggy Carter as Captain America. I was really surprised to see that, but that does happen. I have the full run of Exile, so I'm actually going to be selling this book, which this book right alone has a $175 price tag, but I'm also going to be moving it with Exiles 1, 2, all the way through, I think, 8. Very nice. I'll keep that up. Next up is Fantastic Four. I am obsessed with this one. This one might be a PC. I love the dialogue interchange here. Fantastic Four 25. It does have a $75 price tag. I'm not completely 100% if I'm actually going to sell that one, though. I really like that one. I like the one where Scotty Young has like conversations and like comic panels on the front page. I love that. Next up, Green Lantern 193. Just a random Green Lantern book, not for sale, from 1985, which was missing in my 9.8 Green Lantern ongoing collection. So that's not for sale. That's for me. And that's a nice one. I was worried about it because it had that black spine, but it looked great. So, and thank God it was in the first half of the submission, not the second half. And then here we go. Ding dong. Green Lantern 201. First appearance of Kilowog. That's a nice, expensive book there. $400 to be exact. First appearance of Kilowog. That is actually a book I've really struggled with grading in the past. So I'm really glad that this time around we got it. And this was probably the best looking copy I've ever held. So it's a no-brainer that it would get the 9.8. I'm just really glad. 1986, first appearance of Kilowog. And we got another one, random one. This one's for me. Green Lantern 219, nearing the end of that run from 1987. It's just another one of the ones that I was missing. So it's good to get that in the PC. Next up is Green Lantern 25. Now, I want you to pay attention to this. Do you remember a year ago I got the regular cover of Green Lantern 25 and I had a huge success and I was able to get them to update the notes to mention the first appearance of Monk, first cameo of Saint Walker, death of the Anti-Monitor. Well, apparently they never updated the 1 in 10 variant, which is what this is. This still has the old notes where it just says first appearance of Larfleeze and Atrocitus. It forgets to mention all the other things that I spent the time to get them to update the notes. That's too bad. At least the regular Green Lantern 25 has the corrected keynotes, but looks like they didn't match it for the one variant that it has. I've already got mine, so this one's for sale. That's a $300 book. Next up, we got another one that's not for sale, Fatality Becoming the Star Sapphire. One of the ones that was missing from my Jeff Johns Green Lantern collection. Same with this one, Green Lantern 50. Both these two are not for sale, they're just for me. And then from the what I call the Kyle Rayner run, this is volume 3, issue 144. Very fond of that cover, so I'm glad it got the grade. That's all PC though stuff. I have a couple Green Lanterns for sale, but those ones, nope. Next up we have Guardians of the Galaxy #1, which is the Scotty Young variant cover. That's a pretty popular one too, apparently. First appearance of the new Guardians of the Galaxy. $60 on that. Next up is a really cool one because it's actually the first cameo of Spider-Gwen and Jane Foster's Thor. It's like a Halloween party or a college dorm party or something, and you can see kids dressed up as them in the back. It's kind of cool because this predates Edge of Spider-Verse. CGC has no mention of anything up here, though. But I guess since it's an unconfirmed first appearance that predates, it's a no-brainer that it's blank. I was surprised to see that's only $150 now. I remember that used to be a lot more. Next up is Immortal Hulk #1. I unfortunately didn't have that awesome first printing, but I do have a fourth printing. Was able to get the grade. Very happy about that. That's a nice one. From one of the most critically acclaimed runs of the last 10 years, Immortal Hulk #1. Next up, we have Infinity #3. It's the Scotty Young variant cover, 2013. And it is no key denotation there. $80 price tag on that one. We've got one of the most sought after Scotty Young covers here, which is Ironheart #1, which has sunk in value quite a bit, but it's still a decent $100, which is the first Ironheart series, first mention of the Ten Rings terrorist organization in mainstream Marvel universe. Nice little key there. Love the cover on that one. I know a lot of people love it as well. All right, next up is Kang the Conqueror #1. I don't believe that is any key other than it's just the first solo Kang series ever. Nice one, $75 on that. Really like this one. One of the best Scotty Young covers in my opinion. The Magneto with Kid Magneto where it's all the forks and spoons over his head. Love that one. Next up is Magnificent Ms. Marvel #5. The second printing, which is more rare. It's the debut of the new Ms. Marvel costume, a Kree Storm Ranger suit. It's the first cameo appearance of the AI program that governs the suit, and it's an Iron Man homage cover. One of the more desirable ones from that run. It's got a $90 price tag on it. Not bad. This next book's really cool. Marvel Age #6 from 1983. What's interesting about this book is it's actually the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill, but in a preview. It does predate for, oh God, what issue is that? The first appearance of Beta Ray Bill. This one beats it by like a couple months or something. And that's pretty unknown, but it is just a preview. $160, that is another one of those books that has tanked horribly in value, but it makes it a very affordable key right now. Not bad. Next up is Masters of the Universe #1, a book that I've had such a hard time trying to get the 9.8 out of that I basically gave up. Well, I'm glad I gave it one more shot because I finally got it. Of course, now the value is half of what it used to be, but this book is really cool. It's a It's still like a $325 book. Masters of the Universe, #1, first ongoing series. Gorgeous. Next up is the Mighty Avengers #1, which is the first team appearance of the Mighty Avengers. First appearance of Blade as a superhero. As a spider hero, Monica Rambeau becomes Spectrum, formerly Photon, Pulsar, and the second Ms. Marvel. And CGC says nothing. Literally like 10 different keys going on. They could have mentioned one of them, and CGC just has it blank. You gotta laugh. Next up is Miles Morales, Spider-Man #6. They mention the keynotes on this one. It's the first full appearance of Starling, Tiana Toombs. How can you mention that, but you don't mention all these other things? That blows my mind. Anyway, I'm happy about that one. That's a nice modern key. It's actually a $140 one. Check your collection, see if you have that book. You might have a little bit of cash. Additionally, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man #5, also got it, but you're not seeing it in here because there were 2 or 3 books that got graded and came back to me raw. Yes, you heard that right. I actually have to send them back to CGC and be like, hello, these weren't rejects. You have to slab them. That's happened before. I hate when it happens, but check your orders when you get back. What you think might be a reject might have actually been a 9.8 that they just forgot to put in a slab. So I'm going to have 5 and 6. They're both going out for sale. Moon Knight #1, the current ongoing excellent series. That is the Scotty Young variant cover. Let's see. What's the price on that one? First of all, it's the first appearance of Dr. Bader and cameo as Hunter's Moon. First appearance of Reese, a vampire. $80. Not bad. Next is another Scotty Young, Return of Wolverine #1. It's got a $75 price tag on that one. It's the first appearance of Persephone. Small little key there. Nice. Then we have Spider-Man Enter the Spider-Verse #1, which has some connection to the Enter the Spider-Verse movie. It's got $100 on it. It's a standalone issue that promoted the 2018 film, and I know that that book's kind of heating up a little bit, so that was pretty good timing to submit that in. And we've got Symbiote Spider-Man #1. This is one of the most recent Scotty Youngs. It's a 2019. Any key significance? Next up is, I think, the holy grail of this submission. It is Swamp Thing #90, which is, for Swamp Thing and even DC collectors, it's kind of one of the holy grails. It is an all-black spine. It is a nightmare to grade. This is one of only 4 copies on the census. It's a major first appearance of Tefe Holland. This is probably the 4th or 5th most sought-after Swamp Thing key. Obviously, you got House of Secrets. You got Swamp Thing 1, maybe 2, 3. You got Swamp Thing 37, first John Constantine, and then you have Swamp Thing 90. This is a huge book. Absolutely ridiculous that CGC makes no mention. Oh, it's the first appearance of Tefe Holland, who had her own run, her everything. And CGC just has no notes for it, which blows my frickin' mind. But that is a huge win. I bought like 25 copies of this. This is the only one I thought could get the 9.8, and it did. I am thrilled. I am not thrilled that it does not say first Tefe Holland there. That is the most egregious one out of all of them. Next is Symbiote Spider-Man, and this is the first appearance of Natasha Romanoff as the Black Cat. I said that Superior Spider-Man was that. This is the first Natasha as Black Cat, which CGC also has no notes. That's one benefit to CBCS is if it's like the first appearance of somebody's freaking guitar, it'll be mentioned in there. But CGC, they don't like to mention keynotes unless it's like a really solidified character. But sometimes you have really solidified characters that don't get mentioned. Ultimates #2, classic cover there. Some sort of key significance. Can't quite remember it. But that's a nice one. Apparently that's got a $140 price tag on it. No kidding. Nice. Next is Vault of Spiders from 2018. It's the first appearance of Spider-Bite, Web Slinger and Savage Spider-Man. CGC says nothing. Blank. Of course. Oh, man. And that is one that I knew was blank, and I even asked them to adjust the notes to make mention of it, and they didn't. So, oh well. Next is Venom number 7, which is the first cameo of Dylan Brock, Eddie's son. Unfortunately, that is a book that has tanked so much in value that is all the way down to being like a $60, $70 book. I remember when that was well over 100. Venom number 9, which is the first full appearance of Dylan Brock. This is the variant most people don't remember. When they think of number 9, they think of the one with the dog on the cover. This is I forget who does it, but it's the first full appearance. It's $125. That's the nicer of the two Dylan Brock keys to get, number 9. Next is Venom First Host number 3. First appearance of Sleeper, which is the result of Eddie Brock bonding with the infant symbiote. CGC says nothing. Okay, very nice. And we've got War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas, number 1. First appearance of Luna Snow, Wave, Crescents, and first appearance of Arrow. I thought it had other couple things going on there. Interesting. I thought that was the first Swordsman. Whatever. War, yeah, that's a nice one. The value has tanked on it, but it's still a good one to pick up. Unfortunately, I can tell you that my War of Realms New Agents of Atlas 2 did not get the grade. And that is one of the ones that was valid. It did have a ding in the top, which prevented it. It was a valid call to not get a 9.8. I'm pretty happy with this next one. I threw this in there. West Coast Avengers 45. First White Vision. This was just in that collection that I got. The collection was mostly like 2010 up, but it just randomly had this, and it was that cream of the crop worthy. That is actually like a $350 book, though. That is absolutely worth the submission. And cool, that's my first 9.8 of that book. It is for sale, though. Next is, very rarely do I do this, where I see a modern variant that's so sexy I have to do it. But this Wolverine Black, White, and Blood, which is a Tyler Kirkham Virgin edition, had to go. It's a Unknown Comics exclusive, I believe. It was just too awesome. Very rarely I do it, but sometimes I submit because the art is just too damn good. Wolverine Black, White, and Blood, that's $100 on that boy. 0 Hour, Crisis in Time, number 1. And it is a notable appearance. It's the first appearance of Jack Knight, who becomes the second Starman. CGC not only makes no notes of this, but it's the really rare 0 Hour variant, which they're supposed to say multi-pack edition up here. And I took the time to say on the form, this is the multi-pack edition. And they didn't. So that one I am going to resend as a mechanical error. You were supposed to make mention that that is the multi-pack edition, and you didn't. Their new policy is to do it, and they forgot. So there you go. 3 of those suckers. These are not for sale yet. I need to get them sent back to CGC to have notes. Maybe I can get them to update the keynotes to mention Jack Knight too while I'm at it. But I just need to get them to mention that it's the multi-pack edition. So overall, I know it seems like I have these little frustrations, but I'm actually pretty happy because let's be honest, this collection was such a great deal that I could afford the $8 hit of the rejects of these books. So I sent them in. 51 out of 100 got it. 3 of those didn't actually make it back to me in plastic. I had to send them back to CGC because they just forgot to put them in. They weren't rejects. They just forgot to put them in. So there's going to be a couple mechanical errors. A couple things have to go back. But I'm mostly happy. The biggest thing is no one can tell me what the hell happened with the second half of the submission. I don't know why the first half of the submission was nothing but net. And then the last 50 books, practically hardly any of them got the grade, despite all being from the same collection. It makes absolutely no sense to me. But am I really that unlucky? Like, just that the second half really just aren't 9/8? I find that impossible. Again, I just got a perfect 25 pre-screen, and the same collection, the first half of it was golden. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Um, Maybe I try to resend those books, but a lot of them are really like, 75 to like $200 value. It's not nothing, but it's not the cream of the crop. So unfortunately, I don't know if I can blow another submission on it. It just kind of sucks. It's unexplainable, but I am happy. Seems like I'm not, but I am. As always, guys, get out there and keep on hunting.